When we're doing the workshops with Noble, I kind of try throwing just everything in people's way. I did make a joke once that it's like those showers that have the 30 nozzles. You just got to stand up and rotate and that thing's going to get you like a car wash. It's that, but it's also the new insight. It's seeing your story accurately. It's the podcast you listen to. It really helped you unpack the story of generational trauma. That did it. For many, it's the poem that we leave out. It's not the teaching. It's the sprig of something living and green waiting on the bed that goes, oh, it's been a long winter, hasn't it?
And with that, welcome. Welcome back to the Weil at Heart podcast. I am very excited about what we are unrolling here, rolling out in the coming weeks, a series that was born out of a prompt. I just don't understand how people can survive without. And the answers that our friends have been bringing into this have been so rich and so powerful. You're going to love this series. So John and Alan here this week with my son, Sam Eldridge, therapist and director of Noble Workshops. So before we get to hear Sam's answer and kick off the series with, I just don't understand how people can live without, let's pause, everybody. Let's take this. This may be the most important moment in your day right now, to just pause and breathe and let go. And so we pray, Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, what do I need to let go of? What am I carrying? Who am I carrying? What am I anxious or fearful about? What am I burdened by? Holy Spirit, I need your help. Would you help me right now to just give everyone and everything to Jesus? Yeah, that's really good. And I ask you to breathe into me now, restore our union. Breathe life into me and help me be fully present to the treasures that you have for me in this week's podcast. We are all praying this together in the name of Jesus. Amen. Sam, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Oh, it's just always such a rich conversation when we get some of our therapist friends in the room, and several are going to be part of this series as well. So
feels like a good group of people to ask. How are people surviving? What are we surviving with?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. How are we doing without? Yeah, exactly. So folks, just so you know, I have no idea how Sam is about to answer this question. I haven't known how any of our guests, and we did a lot of the interviews ahead of time, so we knew the series we were building here. So, Sam, I don't know how people can survive without.
Yeah. As your son, I have so many playful things I want to put back your direction.
Do it. You get that.
Yes. But I'm going to just name that so that those playful places in me feel like I'm aware that they're there.
Yeah, reading Weil at Heart.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After sitting with it for a while, my answer, I don't know how people live without a regular engagement with beauty. That's where I landed on. There are other answers to that question that I think are incredibly valid, but for me, I have so many reasons why that particular answer, but I'll just give a snapshot of last night. I went for I asked Susie if I could go for a 10-minute walk, as it was a long day. I could tell I was emotionally drained. There's just been a lot in this season. And I don't even know if I can make it fully around the block in 10 minutes, but I'm going to try. I'm going to walk slowly. I put on some headphones. I put on some music that I knew that had really connected with me earlier that day. And I went for a walk in what is this, late summer evening. It was about 8:15. There's stars at that point. There's quiet. There's the wind in the trees. And it was 10 minutes. And I felt like I became a human being again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this engagement with beauty, both through the music and the world around me that brought me back.
Wow.
So I have a lot of really other things I want to throw into this conversation, but I want to just begin with that picture of how, without that piece, I think I would have been more of a shell, more of autopilot, more of just taking the next right step. Would have done the dishes, maybe would have snapped at my kids again. I
love that it took, in that case, a walk around the block. You didn't have to have 6 hours of beauty. You just needed in that moment a taste.
Yes.
And that was enough for that moment.
Yeah, Ellen, it had to be accessible, right? Because it was we have a membership to the Denver Botanic Gardens, which is an hour and 15-minute drive away just to get to. And it's beautiful. And we try and go a couple of times a year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that needs to be thrown out in field and planned for and feast. Oh, it's almost like a Thanksgiving feast. Then this was a glass of water.
Yeah.
But again, they felt like either way, I'll stick with that metaphor, nourishment and sustenance. That my body was going to die without. My soul was going to die without.
Absolutely.
My emotions were riveling without.
So we're just getting started.
Yeah.
And you just threw out an answer that neither of us were expecting. But instantly, here's how I connect with that. I am going back through some of the older pauses in the 30 Days to Resilient program, which we released, a couple years ago, in the pause app. And there was a particular pause that I was doing. It's just needed it in the evening, and it was the statement, the world we live in fatigues and traumatizes the soul on a regular basis. I believe that. I said it. I wrote the script, but I needed to be told that again. I needed to be reminded, hey, John, the reason that you are feeling in need is that the world is a traumatizing and fatiguing place. It is a truly draining place. And it's out of that I'm responding to, why beauty? Is that why?
Why beauty as a counterpoint?
Yeah. I mean, to go so far as to say, I don't know how people can live without it.
Yeah, why beauty? You guys ready for just Sam's eclectic reasons for why beauty?
Sure.
There was a study done over 40 years ago by a guy named Roger Ulrich on windows in hospital rooms.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
Yeah. So the study, I feel horrible for the control patients who were put into the cubicle without a window, but those who had a window discharged faster, needed on average 30% less pain meds, and were generally reported as being more pleasant to engage with for the rest of the staff. This goes up when you actually go outside and you would take the patients out of the room and into a hospital garden. So here's a reason. Your soul is fatigued. Our souls are fatigued. The world is really punishing. And you engaging beauty is literally a pain reduction to your body and to your mind and to your soul.
Yes.
Okay, here's another one. There's a theory called the broken window theory, which you guys are probably also familiar with. But in neighborhoods, they did 3 studies, one in Philadelphia, one in Flint, Michigan, and one in Youngstown, Ohio, all within the last 10 years. And in neighborhoods where the buildings that were vacant would not be taken care of, crime went up and safety went down and community engagement went down. And so they have these community projects that would go in and just paint walls and fix windows and plant flowers.
Fix the broken windows.
People began to become human beings again. Crime drops again by almost 30%.
Yes.
And you get more children playing in the street. You get families coming back out of the homes. It feels like the end of COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
I want to add one more picture, which is the Berlin Wall. Well, I visited on my semester abroad now 100 years ago, and I would look pretty good for 136. The Berlin Wall, there's pieces of it that were left and turned into this East Side gallery. It was meant to, we are going to remember our history, but we're going to bring beauty to it. We're going to bring intentional graffiti and street art to go, look at what was and what can we do in that case as a nation to heal around it, again, using beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's just 3 reasons.
Yeah, beauty heals. Beauty heals. Okay, so did your brother convince you to watch yet the movie Sing Sing about it's not a documentary.
Do
but
we have an adopted brother that I don't know about? No, what's Sing Sing?
Oh my gosh, folks, this movie, it's not a documentary, but it's based on a true story. And it takes place in Sing Sing, high maximum security prison on the East Coast. Most of these guys are in there for life or, for pretty serious crimes. And, what their reality is, the actual cell rooms they live in, but they have a theater troupe. And they put on within the prison. The director is external. He comes in each week and works with the guys, but it is the inmates who, put on and design the sets and often write the shows and rehearse and put on the shows. There is a phenomenal scene in there when you realize only the lead actor in the movie is an actor. Everybody else is playing themselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So one of the inmates, it's a beautiful older Black man. There's a guy who's beginning to really get out of control and rage and become dangerous. And he starts talking to him about this. He says, look, I was sitting at the table when a guy came up and slit the fellow's throat next to me ear to ear, and the blood went all over us and all over the table. And we all just acted like that was normal. He says, we come in here to have a moment of beauty, to be human again. That's what connected for me with your sentence about I got to be human again. We get to be human.
Yeah.
It is.
And this stopped being an episode for the whole family about 30 seconds ago. Oh my gosh.
I know. The film itself is not violent.
Yeah.
The film takes place entirely within this little theater workshop thing in the correctional facility. And what it does for these men is extraordinarily beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, like, what does it mean? What does it mean to be human? You could go down that route. And I've had some of my, that's just maybe more profound moments of dignity being connected to the creative. And like that actually isn't part of our imago Dei in us, the ability to create beauty in all the different ways, whether that's a sourdough, a garden, a book, a play, a piece of art, a song. Like, this thing just starts going all these different directions. And it really is like, it's not just, this is kind of a nice thing to have. The World Health Organization put out a crisis in 2018 that there was just humanity was at a state of mental health crisis. And so 2 years before we go in lockdown and we stopped engaging in beauty that was like tangible. I mean, it became this need. But I look at things like that and I go, okay, so we all got put into these little capsules of our homes and our apartments, and we lost community engagement. We lost, I think obviously it's been several years, but the stakes weren't just, oh, this is really hard for me to be missing my jujitsu class. It was, you've lost an element of what it means to be human because you can't engage in beauty in all of these ways. Yeah.
For most people, this is not a conscious category. I need my quiet time. I need my exercise. I'm trying to live a well-paced life. I've cut out lot of my social, they're trying to plan for a sane life. I think most people are making that attempt right now. But I don't know that beauty is in there as like a primary category. And this is how I'm arranging for beauty.
No, I agree.
And I'm just thinking of two, a personal experience and then one as a therapist myself. I'll start with a client years ago, savage story, not to be repeated. And I was a young therapist, and frankly, I just didn't even know what to say. I just to sit and be with her, offer kindness and a place to tell her story and to grieve. But I noticed, and it felt like this was the first little Holy Spirit moment for me with this particular client, that every time she came in, she would have a blouse that had little embroidered flowers on it. And so I just felt prompted to ask. I mean, this is way off topic, but I just went, can you tell me about the flowers? And she just stopped and looked up. There was a brightness that entered her face. And she said, oh, only beauty helps. I'm like, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's the sentence, right? And then I discover the same thing 2 years later when Brent's killed. And I go through, that massive period of grieving. I didn't want answers. I didn't want theology. I would sit out in the garden. That was the only thing. Only beauty helps. And her words were just echoing in my soul. Only beauty helps. So putting beauty out here, raising it up as a category. And we're going to talk about other things in this series. We're going to talk about interpretive grids, and we're going to talk about the power of grief, and lots of great stuff. Connecting with God. I don't know how people can survive with these other things, but how like you to come in with a curveball.
I know.
Yeah.
On the opening episode to say, hey, I'm going to surprise you all and say, I just don't know how you live without beauty in your life.
Alan was afraid I was going to say contending with your mortality and being prepared for your death. So I also have
sometimes it was beauty.
Yeah, I think you were. Yeah.
When you were talking about the walk at the beginning of the podcast, one thing I've experienced lately is where beauty sneaks up on me. And it is, I walk a couple of miles with my dogs morning and evening. Well, at the midpoint, about a mile into it, there's a very small stream. You could miss it if you were walking too fast, but you can hear it first. So you hear it more than you see it. And I don't realize how fast maybe my thoughts are racing or my heart's going until I hear that. And I've gotten to where now I'll just pause with the dogs for about 30 seconds and just listen. And sometimes it almost brings me to tears. And it's just the sound of running water, trickling water. That's this beautiful thing. And it always seems to catch me by surprise. Like the beauty of that causes me to breathe again and feel human again. And I walk past that after a pause, a different person than when I came up to it. And I always forget it's there. So it always surprises me, but
you're not in the moment. So it's not totally fair to ask you this, but I'm curious if your tears had a voice, what your tears would be trying to tell you in that moment as you stop and let your soul catch up to you as you notice the water.
Yeah, I think if they had a voice, it would be, you need more tenderness in your life. And somehow, I'm not sure I could articulate right here how running water and tenderness connect, but it always feels like a balm washes over me in that moment. And it's twice a day. And I think it's God's mercy that I don't dwell on it all day long, but I just get to experience it. And it isn't really like smelling the roses as a aphrodisiac or something, it just feels like it's a reminder of this is a touch of beauty, sensory beauty, and you need more of that.
Yeah. That's really good. I felt the tears as you said it, as you were just saying it. There's something in me that needs to be able to slow down and to receive and to not keep running on what I've got in the tank.
Yeah, nothing I manufacture or make happen, just take in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. I think one of the reasons I chose beauty is because I've just become more and more aware for myself and for others of its potential for healing. And I know that probably the first part of this episode is going to sound like, come back to being a human being, which like is an important part of this process. And the other part of it is, and beauty heals.
Yeah.
Beauty accesses beauty. Like that's those studies on the pain relief. It's like, sure, when my back's hurting, ibuprofen's nice. This is more than that. This is actually getting access to places in you and knitting you together, slowing down your nervous system. The studies done on the way that your stress, your heart rate, your breathing change to mirror the flow of water, to mirror the flow of the ocean, to regulate in nature. And so I would say my hope is that if some regular engagement with beauty has slipped away, that might be a category to come back online unto the healing of your story and the healing of your soul.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways that can happen, but I wanted to mention a few of the ways that I have received care from that. So when we're doing the workshops with Noble, I kind of try throwing like just like everything in people's way and not to, I did make a joke once that it's like those showers that have like the 30 nozzles. You just got to stand up and rotate and that thing's going to get you like a car wash. It's that, but it's also sometimes, it's the new insight. It's seeing your story accurately. It's the podcast you listen to. It really helped you unpack the story of generational trauma. That did it. You can actually hear the astute that are listening can hear the fatigue in my voice as I say that. For many, it's the poem that we leave out. It's not the teaching. It's the sprig of something living and green waiting on the bed that goes, oh, it's been a long winter, hasn't it?
Yes.
And it's the words that others have said well on your behalf that is beauty that heals. So I will come to a poem later by way of close that I've got for today. Poetry, I think to no one's surprise, who's ever heard me on this is like, Sam always has a poem every time I'm a guest on anybody's, I'm like, so I brought my little book. Susie and I were just reading some last night. Art, like to have well done artwork in my office. I have a piece done by a friend of the landscape outside Hartselle, Colorado, with the river just twisting back and forth, and how it hasn't created just one big oxbow. I have no idea. This thing just twists and twists and twists. Music, pull up Holst's The Planet Suite, particularly his song Jupiter, and just see what an orchestra can do for your healing. I've also particularly been enjoying Jensen McRae's song My Ego Dies at the End, which is, man, of course I am liking that one.
I like the title.
How about this? How about theater? And if I'm going to quote theater, I'm going to quote Shakespeare. And if I'm going to quote Shakespeare, I'm going to quote The Tempest. And if I'm going to quote The Tempest, I got to be dad to the punch. Oh, rejoice beyond a common joy.
Yeah, exactly. And set it down with gold on lasting pillars.
Yes. How about hell is empty and all the devils are here? How about we are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little life is rounded with a sleep.
Yes.
Like you didn't know you needed theater back in your life. You didn't know that you needed someone else to say the thing well on your behalf.
Yeah. Like these inmates in Sing Sing, and just how powerful it is.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's so powerful.
Yes.
And to hear one of them do a Hamlet soliloquy, and like I'm weeping watching it.
Right.
So beautiful.
Right. I would add two other categories here. Nature, obviously. I mean, I'm just going to name that explicitly. But how about the faces of others?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that the people that you have known beyond a few interactions, their faces actually get lovelier to you because there's a familiarity, there's a beauty. Like they actually become more attractive and more beautiful the more time you have with someone. Wow. You know the lines of their face. You know what that crinkle of the eye means. Yes. And we need each other for co-regulation and for healing. And when someone else that you know well has an emotional reaction to something in your story, your brain literally recalibrates to the appropriate emotional reaction. And so I'm sneaking that one in. Like, we need the beauty of each other's faces on our behalf. And we really do, each of us have a beauty that that deepens with familiarity.
Yeah. Something you said about nature is new to me. And I literally spend time in nature every single day because I need to. That nature regulates. That's a really lovely thought. That when we are dysregulated, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, it's all interwoven in beautiful complexity. So, another story. So I'm out at the family cabin a couple weekends ago to get some chores done before winter comes in and we have to close down for the winter. And nearby, there's a little pond that I like to go fishing at. But the chores were more important. And by the time it got to the point of the day where I could go fishing, the rain was coming in across the valley. I could see it. You can see the sheets of it coming across the valley, which in itself is very beautiful. I love watching that. I felt like God said, get your rod and go down. I'm like, I love you, but it's raining or it's about to. He's like, just trust me. I felt like it was this invitation to something I didn't know I needed, like a playful invitation. So get my rod, go down to this pond. And yes, it starts raining when I get there, but in the kindness of God, it's raining softly. Oh my gosh. Now to call it regulation, it was exquisite to cast gently and watch the water drops on the pond. This has a 2-part story to it. I caught a few fish. It was great. Go back and make some dinner, get some other chores done. Now it's late in the evening. And I thought, I think the rain stopped. I think I'll go back down to the pond. And so I go back down there, but this time it is perfectly still. And there's still a cloud cover. So the light's very soft and gentle. And the grasses are tall. And it's just like a mirror of the clouds above. I literally went down on my knees and I realized, this isn't about fishing. I'm not fishing. I don't need adventure right now. I don't need to stir things up. This is, and then this is the word that's been going through. I wanted to write this in big, bold letters on my notepad here. Since you started, the word solace. If you read through the old saints, women and men, and talking about the heartache of the world and the burdens that they carry and how much they seek the solace of Christ. That word began to really stay with me. And then I'm in that moment and I went, now I know what you are up to. I thought I needed action, even drama, the drama of catching a big fish or something like that. I'm on my knees in front of this incredibly still moment, realizing, no. I need solace because of the world, because of life, because of the heartache and the pressure and the stress and the chaos and the trauma, to receive solace. And the solace was coming to me through beauty. So much so that I took a 30-second video of it. So I pulled my phone out. I'm like, I need to be able to look at this at my desk. And so I just held it as still as I could, as still as the moment was, and just captured what looks like nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing's happening. There isn't a noise.
Yeah.
So that come winter, I can pull that out and watch it. So solace is what I'm experiencing as we talk about this. It's the category.
Yeah, it's so good.
So I have a question for you.
Mm.
As you're talking about beauty, it makes me hunger for more in my life.
Yeah.
The question is, Sam, how do we lose beauty around us in our lives? Like we need more, but what causes us to have a lack or a scarcity of it?
Yeah, I think it's a good question that we should actually all probably answer, like on an individual level. What is it about my life that's made me lose it? So I'll speak personally, and then I'll see if we can extrapolate out from that. One, beauty has to be intentionally chosen, it seems like, in my life, and moved towards. And so my autopilot, because of living in suburbia in the Western Hemisphere in 2025, like life seems to be mostly about comfort and productivity, and beauty isn't part of that equation. And so you could argue that like there's a lot of design in cars, and I liked Netflix has a show called Abstract, and they like went through several different designers for public spaces, and like so there's people who will see the beauty in a car. I mostly see a thing to get me from A to B. And so my life is structured so that like when I'm on autopilot, I'm not running into it. And I would say to that, I have therefore had to make beauty something I have to contend with and like almost put it in my way and force myself to. So I've begun talking about weather patterns with the kids just to like try and draw their attention and their wonder. And there was this, maybe you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, it was like we were in a cloud here in the Springs, and I'm driving up on the freeway, and we just spent the 20, 30 minutes in the car marveling at like, whoa, that's really dark and swirly, and over here it almost looks like it's, I don't know, something soft and wispy, and we're about to get through. And the kids, like, they got really into it, but we had to draw our attention off of autopilot and inward. And that pull maybe for me just to like get through and not be present to where I'm at. There's I think some fascinating things around in the world of like mindfulness. That's like, you kind of have your life, right? You have like your 70, 80, 90 years, but your attention can actually shorten or lengthen your experience of your life. And when you're on autopilot, a day goes by, but when I slow down for beauty, my life actually experientially lengthens. I'm in that moment for longer than I was in that other moment. I would say the other reason for me, Alan, is that when I'm hurting, there is the instinct to withdraw and to protect and to not extend anymore. And in those, it's almost like I think we do need each other to reach out and provide the beauty. I think that's why we have the social custom of the flowers that get sent, or the card, or like that, just like a reminder, you can't go seek it yourself. I'm going to help you seek it.
Yeah. I love the flower thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Can we just pause there, because I don't know what to say, but here's some beauty.
Right.
Like instinctively. And most people aren't thinking my suffering friend needs beauty in their life,
because it will actually help them not feel as hurting.
Yeah.
Like ibuprofen.
It'll provide solace and consolation that,
Right.
Yeah.
But there's an intuitiveness. I just love that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Here's beauty.
Right. We will fill your house with color and scent and softness.
Yeah.
Because we know that is what is needed, even if we don't know why.
Yeah.
So, Alan, I do think it's this, like, I think we've also probably convinced ourselves that the digital is sufficient, and we have so much digital beauty. I mean, even the video you were describing, Dad, like we have videos of our trips that we've taken, and we'll watch them in the winter months. Remember, Mexico's a real place with like a beach with snow. And how many of us begin opting for only engaging I love film, but only engaging film only engaging the artificial. We lose something. We lose a lot, actually. We don't nearly get the same. Speaking of Mexico, there's something I want to talk about with that. There's the macro and the micro. Like beauty, as you maybe begin flexing this muscle again, I would say like most things, my assumption is that you need to take time and practice using this muscle again, which is going to take maybe Googling or looking up in Spotify the songs that I mentioned, maybe seeing if the local college puts on a Shakespeare festival, maybe watching the movie Arrival. Go do it. Use code SAM 20% off. Maybe this macro and micro. When Susie and I, we've taken up scuba diving in this, like, I don't know, part of our life, and I love it. It's so fun. What I love about it is that sometimes we get to see a sea turtle, and it's so cool. Sometimes we get to see sharks, and I'm glad I'm underwater because nobody can see that I just peed myself. Other times it's the micro, and when you get really good at it, and you've been diving for more than a couple of times, you learn to go really slow and to pay attention to the fact that this coral head is soft and it looks like a human brain, but as the current hits it, it actually looks like a wheat field as the current ripples its way across it. Yeah. And this coral's rigid and almost looks like just antennas or stag horns, and yet it waves and bends, and some very, very, very small fish have made it their home. And you slow down and notice the small as well. I love the summer clouds here in Colorado, and found myself cackling sometimes like a madman as I watch them move over into Kansas and Nebraska. They're just massive, and you sort of stare at them and laugh. Can you also stop for the stone in the river? Yeah. And notice its color and pick it up and feel it in your hand.
The micro.
I
realized, like, you were coming to tears by the stream on your walk, and you didn't quite know why. Yeah. I was watering the flowers the other morning, and the hose, when it's not on the flowers, was sort of flooding just the sidewalk as I was moving from basket to basket. And I watched the water spreading out across the path. I was utterly mesmerized by it. I put the hose down, get down and watch the micro beauty, and then touch it and experience it. And again, it was letting me know, oh, your soul is in great need of solace. Allow it in. Had I been blowing through the task, I'd have missed the micro. Yeah. But it was lovely and totally effective as standing at the beach. Yeah. It worked.
Jonathan Haidt wrote The Anxious Generation, which I would encourage folks to give a listen to, or just go read a spark notes of. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. He has this fascinating line. He's, secular, and so he's wrestling with this thing he keeps bumping into. But here's what he says in this later half of the book. He goes, man has a God-shaped hole in our soul, and he doesn't know what to do with it, because he says we respond, human beings, to a kind of a landscape and a kind of a space that makes our bodies rest, our brains slow down, and our hearts begin to heal. And it is the verdant valley. It is the harbor on the coast. Yeah. It is the heather in soft wind. It is what do we do that man seems to have this? Yeah. And how do you, I love that there's sort of like we don't like this.
We love that. Totally.
I think that you guys will have some criticism if we don't quote the quote that you have made famous in this own podcast. Like, you can't search this quote without finding you. Simone Weil.
There are only two things
that pierce the human heart.
Yeah.
And they are
beauty and affliction.
Right. Yeah. So we are guaranteed one of those. Yeah. Maybe let us pursue the other.
Yeah.
By way of close, I'll read this poem by Wendell Berry. And I want to say, like, this idea on beauty, healing, and sometimes sometimes it is more information. Sometimes it is the journaling. Sometimes it is truly like it is saying a prayer for the first time that unlocks something. And there are times where beauty is the doorway in. And I love getting to do that with the Noble workshops. And personally, I've just like filled my life with poetry because I just need and looking for the next thing to draw me back to myself. So I'm sure many of you listening are familiar with this one. I should probably get it framed somewhere. The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
I do need to let people know that one of the things that makes Noble Workshops so very special is that it's saturated with beauty and poetry and scent and sound. And I just got a letter. You don't know this. I got a letter from a very grateful woman who came to the July workshop. And she was just saying, I just felt so unbelievably cared for. I couldn't believe the attention to detail of every little thing, like a poem on my pillow, and all the beauty that you build into it. So you do have one last workshop this year.
Yep, in November.
Okay.
Kind of mid-November is our last one for the year.
Couple slots left.
Yep.
If people want to know more about Noble Workshops, a 5-day healing intensive, we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Yep.
Incredibly beautiful experience. Yeah. Thank you for kicking off our series.
Thanks
with something
responding to the curveball.
Yeah, thank you. For beauty and how deeply I think this is going to resonate with our friends. I think that beauty is constantly coming to us. You have reawakened our need and our attention to go, I need to stop and notice, let it in, go seek it. Yeah. So thank you, Sam.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Hey friends, this is Alan. Thanks for being part of this week's podcast. And before you rush off into what's next, we invite you to spend some time reflecting with God on what you've heard and on where He's leading.